A monk used to live with other monks in a monastery. One day he decided to meditate alone, away from his monastery. There was a lake nearby where not many people would visit. He decided to go to that lake to meditate. When he reached lake, there was no one else. He took a boat out to the middle of lake. When reached the middle, he moors it there and sat with his eyes closed to begin his meditation. After a few hours of undisturbed silence, he suddenly felt a bump of another boat colliding with his boat. Monk got disturbed, but still he kept his eyes closed. Again, he felt a bump. With his eyes closed, he sensed his anger rising, but still he kept his eyes closed and stayed silent. After a while, again, he felt a bump, and by this time, he was ready to scream at the boatman who dared to disturb his meditation. When he couldn't control anymore, he opened his eyes and looked toward another boat to scream, but to his surprise, when he opened his eyes, he saw that it was an empty boat that had probably got untethered and floated to the middle of lake. As soon as Monk saw this, at that moment he achieved self-realization and understood that anger was within him, and it merely needed the bump of an external object to provoke it out of him. From then on, whenever Monk would come across someone who irritates him or tried to provoke him to anger, he would remind himself, "Other person is merely an empty boat. The anger is within me." As you see, anger is a natural emotion, but when it becomes persistent and overwhelming, it can negatively impact our relationships, work, and overall well-being. So, let's dive in and explore the reasons why you may be feeling angry all the time. In today's video, we'll be discussing the 5 reasons why you may be feeling angry all the time, and give you very effective ways to treat your anger. So stick around to the end. Here are the 5 reasons why you may be feeling angry all the time. 1. The main cause of your anger is unconsciousness. Unconsciousness means you are not aware of your thoughts and actions. You lost yourself in the unconscious mental patterns, which means totally identified with mind and emotion. It makes you reactive, makes you say and do things that are designed to increase the unhappiness within yourself and the world. Being unconscious of your inner state, you don't even know that you are deeply unhappy, that you are suffering. You don't know what you are doing. It's similar to being drunk. When a person becomes drunk, he goes through a complete personality change as the unconsciousness takes him over. And a deeply unconscious person whose anger habitually replenishes itself through physical violence often directs it toward his spouse or children. When he becomes sober, he is truly sorry and may say he will never do this again, and he means it. The person who is talking and making promises, however, is not the entity that commits the violence, and so you can be sure that it will happen again and again unless he becomes conscious and recognizes the unconsciousness within himself, and thus decides to be mindful. The remedy for this is to start a mindfulness practice. Your unconsciousness cannot tolerate the light of presence. It is like bringing a light into your inner darkness. Be mindful about your thoughts and actions. Start a meditation practice. When you become more conscious, you will begin to see your destructive behaviors, and the anger by itself falls away. Being in a continuous state of negative emotions, like anger and resentment, can have negative effects on our physical and mental health. 2. Holding on to grudges. Holding on to grudges can be a common human tendency, but it is not good for our mental, emotional, and even physical health. A grudge is an unresolved feeling of anger, resentment, or hurt that we hold on towards another person or a situation. When we hold on to a grudge, we keep reliving the negative emotions associated with it. This can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and depression. When we hold on to a grudge, we are stuck in the past. We are unable to move forward and let go of the negative emotions associated with the situation. Take some time to reflect on why you are holding a grudge. Understand the root cause of your emotions. Practice empathy. Try to put yourself in the other person's shoes and consider their perspective. This can help you develop a sense of empathy and understanding towards them. Practice forgiveness. Dwelling on past grievances can keep you stuck in negative emotions. Try to focus on the present moment. 3. Impatience. Impatience can also lead to anger issues because impatience is a form of frustration, and frustration is a common trigger for anger. When we feel impatient, we are often experiencing a sense of urgency or a desire for something to happen quickly. When that desire is not fulfilled, we can start to feel frustrated, which can quickly escalate to anger if we don't manage our emotions effectively. Chronic impatience can also lead to a pattern of behavior where a person becomes easily frustrated and reactive to situations that don't meet their expectations. Over time, this can develop into a more generalized anger issue, where the person is prone to outbursts of anger or aggressive behavior in a variety of situations. Identify situations or people that tend to trigger your impatience. Once you've identified your triggers, try to avoid or modify these situations if possible. Practice patience. Deliberately slow down and take a more relaxed approach to situations. For example, try waiting in line without getting irritated or rushing through a task. 4. Lack of compassion. When we lack compassion, we may see others as obstacles or nuisances rather than as individuals with their own struggles and challenges. This can lead to a lack of understanding and empathy towards others, and a tendency to become easily frustrated or irritated with them. For example, if someone cuts us off in traffic, we may become angry and resentful towards them, seeing them as careless and inconsiderate. However, if we approach the situation with compassion and consider that they may be rushing to get to the hospital or dealing with an emergency, we are more likely to respond with understanding and empathy rather than anger. To overcome lack of compassion, it's important to work on developing empathy and understanding towards others. This can involve practicing active listening and seeking to understand their perspectives and experiences. Help others in need without expecting anything in return. You can make someone's day just by giving a simple compliment. 5. Hopelessness. Hopelessness can lead to anger issues, because it can create a sense of powerlessness and frustration that can manifest as anger. When we feel hopeless, we may feel like we have no control over our lives or our circumstances, which can lead to feelings of anger and resentment. When we feel like life is unfair and we have no control over our circumstances, we may become angry at the perceived injustice and the people or systems we feel are responsible. When you feel hopeless, it's easy to fall into negative thinking patterns. Try to reframe your thoughts in a more positive and optimistic way. For example, instead of saying "I'll never be able to do this," say, "I can do this, it just might take some time and effort." Set achievable goals. Connect with others. Social support can be a powerful antidote to hopelessness. In addition to all those, first step to overcome anger is to notice your anger. When you notice your anger, you become more aware of the thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations associated with it. This can help you to realize the absurdity of the anger. Noticing your anger can provide an opportunity for reflection and self-exploration. You can ask yourself questions such as, what am I feeling? What triggered this anger? What are my beliefs and assumptions about this situation? This reflection can help you gain deeper insights. When you notice your anger early on, you can take action to prevent it from escalating. You can avoid destructive behaviors and reduce the risk of harm to yourself and others.